something I think you guys deserve to know about me. I'm a pretty skeptical person. I know not a few agnostics and atheists watch my stuff. You might be surprised to hear that, a believer, let alone a Christian, is skeptical. But I really am. I drive my wife up the wall with my skepticism. There's a story of when the Apostle Paul was martyred, that his head hit the ground in 3 spots because he was beheaded, and an underground spring, a spring of water came up on each of the 3 spots that his head hit the ground. I don't know if I believe that. It's as far as I know, it's a late story, so it could very easily be, that could have sprung up from anywhere. It's a nice little story. I mean, may it happen? I don't know. Sounds like a tall tale. I was extremely skeptical of the Shroud of Turin. Thought it was a forgery until last Easter when I saw some of the specials exhibiting it, and under highly scientific, examination, it appears to be a photo negative. I was a little less skeptical at that point. You ever hear the story about the spear that pierced Jesus, having, Hitler got a hold of it, having all kinds of magical powers, this, that, and the other thing? Very skeptical of that. She almost killed me whenever we watched the Discovery Channel's special one. I said, I don't know, I don't buy it. So I'm a pretty skeptical guy. And for my fellow skeptics who aren't believers, I get it that you read the Gospel and you read Acts and you say, all right, anybody can make up these stories. Why do I believe this? So believe me, I get that. Something for my fellow skeptics to chew on. The Gospels. In what way are they written? Are they written in ways that try to make everybody look as good and as smart and as powerful as possible? I want to zero in on the Gospel of Mark. It's Mark chapter 6. I want you to read verses 5 and 6, where Jesus says, it says of Jesus in a village where no one believed in him, he could not do any miracles there except lay his hands on a few sick people and heal them. Amazed at their lack of faith. So we have Mark reporting here that Jesus was, let me mark it down here, could not do any miracles. He was not able to perform any miracles in his hometown, in Nazareth. Now, if I'm trying to color a story up to build people's faith, I have Jesus perform a double powerful miracle just to show just how powerful he is. The fact that Mark said that, it would have me a little bit skeptical that Mark was doing anything else other than just telling the story that he got from Peter. Here's something else. Well, skeptics who don't believe in Christianity, I want to ask you, what do you think of the claims laid by the Gospels that Jesus of Nazareth performed miracles? Do you think they were just kind of written in to make him look good, as I was saying? Well, putting that aside, I want to take you to a piece called Against Celsus. This was done by the Egyptian church father Origen towards the end of his life, around 250. Celsus was the Voltaire of his day. Origen didn't live during Celsus's time. Celsus probably he probably wrote a piece around 100 years prior to Origen, so maybe around 150, 170, through the kitchen sink of Christianity. The actual piece, the true word, the true discourse, which Celsus wrote, is not extant, but Origen so thoroughly answers it, you can have a pretty good idea of what the whole piece said. He answers it sentence by sentence. Origen writes 5 books against Celsus. And in Book 1, Chapter 28, he talks about how Celsus, in an imitation of a rhetorician training a pupil, he introduces a fictitious Jew who enters into a personal discussion with Jesus and speaks in a very childish manner altogether unworthy of the great airs of a philosopher. In other words, Origen saying Celsus is being a bit of an immature jackass, someone who's claiming to be a philosopher. Let me endeavor. He examines his statements to show that he does not maintain through the discussion the consistency due to the character of a Jew. All right, now here's what Celsus is saying, and this is what Celsus is hearing. Celsus got his anti-Christian information from Jewish people. So this is what Jewish people of Celsus's time were saying of Jesus. Let's see here. He accuses him of having invented his birth from a virgin and upbraids him with being born in a certain Jewish village of a poor woman of the country who gained her subsistence by spinning and was turned outdoors by her husband, a carpenter by trade, because she was convicted of adultery. Then, being driven away from her husband and wandering about for a time, she disgracefully gave birth to Jesus, an illegitimate child, having hired himself out as a servant in Egypt, on account of his poverty, and having acquired some miraculous powers on which the Egyptians greatly pride themselves, returned to his own country highly elated on account of them. By means of these proclaimed himself a god. Alright, I'm going to really zero in on what Celsus is saying, that this Jesus that the Jews are slandering, the reason why he could perform miraculous powers was because he went to, spend some time in Egypt, and he acquired the ability to perform sorcery there. So what Celsus and the Jews of his time, what are they saying? They're saying, oh yeah, Jesus was able to perform, pretty miraculous feats, but don't be surprised. He learned how to do that kind of stuff when he lived in Egypt. What are they not saying? They're not saying, oh, his followers just put those into the stories of his life. He didn't perform any miracles. Get real. I don't know. Like I said, I am a bit of a skeptic. Hearing that kind of stuff would have me a little bit skeptical that Jesus of Nazareth did not, in fact, perform pretty mighty feats during the course of his life. See ya.